Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Cup of Dusk. Tonight, we're doing something a little bit special. We're running that content clinic, as we do every once in a while, and I brought along a very special guest with me tonight. It's FalseEyeD!
Hey everybody, welcome. I'm FalseEyeD. I talk about cool VTubers like Roy here. How you doing today? What's going on?
Oh, you know, we vibing, we thriving, we surviving. We're ready to talk about the things that VTubers do in fact say.
Nice.
Absolutely, absolutely. But thank you so much for coming out here. Obviously, we talked about it funny enough before the stream started, but I wanted to bring you on for a while. I didn't find the right timing, and then there was only one timing left, so I was like...
Literally, everybody, it was, you got with me, what was it, sometime last week.
Yeah.
And I was more than happy to, say yes. And then there was I think it was Friday night. It was like almost this super serious DMs, like, we have to talk.
Yeah. When it's serious from me, generally you're gonna know, because I'm really bad at not making it serious or not making it sound like I'm serious. But thank you all for being here tonight. Like I said, we're going to be doing a bit of a content clinic. We do run these pretty much like every month. This, of course, being one of our final ones, if not the final one. So I'm very happy to have False here to go over various topics, conversations, questions, and your burning curiosities when it comes to VTubing and content creation as a whole. Yes, I hope you're excited for that too, False. All of what I just said.
Ready to rip it open, ready to absolutely tear all these questions apart.
Perfect. We do absolutely love to hear that, as I'm sure you have a wealth of knowledge when it comes to VTubing, as you do run your own news channel in pertaining to VTubers and the things that they do in fact say.
That's right. If anyone hasn't seen me, we have a program that we call Things VTubers Say. It's really news centered around what VTubers are, saying, what they're doing. Usually we're promoting their merch or debuts and things like that. So been making that kind of content for about 2.5 years now.
Whoa.
485 episodes in all as of tonight. Yeah.
Dang, congratulations on that. Only 15 to go until that big 500.
Yep, and then I get to graduate. So, at last, get out of here.
It's what we all wanted forever. For you to graduate from 3D. Now, for those of you that don't know, like False said, he does run a VTubing show called Things VTubers Say. If you're interested in checking out any of his content or his channel, check the title for the stream. You can see his Twitch page, where he actually filmed today's episode live and usually edits the entirety of them live as well. So go check him out. When's the next time you're streaming, False, so people know when to catch you?
That'll be on Wednesday this time around. So coming up here on April 5th, we'll be returning with another episode and stream at that time.
There you go. Perfect. So I see a couple familiar faces in chat. Hello, Min. Hello, Junk. I saw Konzetsu was here earlier. Hello, Lion. Lots of familiar faces. Everybody's ready and here, ready to learn. We've got our notepads out. We've got our ink wells. Do people still use ink wells and pens? Yeah. Hi, Jebby. To Jajuriel Pale. Lots of people here tonight. Hello. Hi. There we go. RoyzOg notes. Perfect. All right, so we're going to start off the night, and I will say this to chat. We do have a bunch of questions to go over, but if you do have follow-up questions, please be sure to use the highlight message redeem. We will do our best to answer them when we are able to, but there's a lot of you, there's 2 of us, and there's a lot of questions that we already had submitted on the Twitter thread, so if we don't get to you, please bear with us. I'm stupid. I don't know about False, but I'm at least, 3 brain cells short of a brain cell. Roy, do you plan to continue the second half of the VTuber review? Unfortunately not. There's just not enough time for me left in scheduling, so I probably will not be able to get to it. I promise. Hey, listen.
Boo!
Don't boo me. I did 4 parts of it with over 800 VTubers in total.
Not enough.
Oh my god. How do I cope with the weight of a fat ass? You be me. That's how you do it. 2 cute bunny boys. I was actually going to ask you about that, because I know Lady also had a toggle. Does everybody at Things VTubers Say have bunny ear toggles?
I think it's just me and Lady.
Okay.
We just hers are even more impressive. They're like way more floppy.
Yes. They
And
flop all over the place.
mine are particularly stiff, but yeah, it's always a fun thing just to find some fun little assets, and we just stuck them on our heads just for I can't even remember why we did it, but if we just turn them on and off. This year especially, it's the year of the bun tuber.
Yes.
So we've been breaking them out a lot lately.
Absolutely. And listen, don't worry about being stiff. I'm sure it just happens around people that you're excited to be with. Buns are the best. I'm not biased. Me neither, sad bun. I don't know what you mean. Anyway, we're going to kick things off with our first question. And I think we're going to get a couple of questions like these in a row because you and I kind of briefly talked about it. How do you find your niche and grow your niche? So many VTubers just play gaming and don't often go out of the box. Yeah.
So a lot of the questions that I had seen in the Twitter thread were very much centered around niche. Great question, because it's one that, you know, you kind of look at those who are, you know, finding some success or have some success, and it feels like you tell yourself they're doing something different. So what can I do to, you know, make myself different? And finding a niche is a great way to make yourself stand out naturally. Now, when I started, I didn't have my niche for a full year. I was a VTuber for a full year.
Oh.
Before I knew I wanted to talk about other VTubers. It turns out I didn't want to talk about myself at all. I wanted to talk about everybody else. So it's going to be something that will maybe take time and may actually be something you have to work through. Literally, mine it was just kind of a moment in the shower. It was kind of like, but wait a second.
But what if I talked about VTubers?
Is anyone else talking about VTubers like this? And at the time, no, not quite like that. Or if they had been, they had stopped, actually. So that was a part of it. So I was like only thinking that was going to be a part of a normal stream.
So what you're saying is you work in the shower as well.
Yeah, nonstop. I'm in there 18 hours a day.
Yeah, there it is.
But yeah, I mean, I thought I was going to do a bunch of things. I thought I was going to do anime reviews, and I thought I was going to do game reviews, and I thought I was going to be a gaming VTuber. And then I just niched down so hard that it just turned out I was only talking about VTubers. And here's the thing. I'm going to, well, before I keep on going, I mean, Roy, did you have anything to say a little bit to that too, or?
No, it's very much like you said, and I'm very similar to you in the sense of doing a lot of content before finding my niche. I would probably say that my niche is the improv comedy and just housing people at the cafe. You know, where we dick around, we tell some jokes, we sometimes get haha, hee hee, and hoo-hoos. You know, but no, I mean, like I was in content creation for about 4 years before I even got into VTubing, and then I was in VTubing for like 7 or 8 months before I even came up with the cafe. So it takes time, and a niche does not have to be unique. Takahata is someone that obviously I take great inspiration from in a lot of the content that we do, because it's, you know, it's very similar. But we'll both have our own unique twists on things. He and I have talked ad nauseum about it when I had him on for a content clinic as well. And the most important thing that he told me, that I tell everybody else, it doesn't matter if somebody else does it first. Every single idea has already been thought up. It has been done. It's been conquered. It's been done to death. Just go out and do it. Because if you do it well, it doesn't matter that somebody else is doing it too. All that matters is that you do it well. So.
Wait a second. This isn't the Wary 101 at all.
You've been bamboozled. Get him, guys.
Bye here. Goodbye.
Wait, no. Oh, my goodness. Chat.
Yes. I think it's almost, you know, some of the first things to get out of the way is not even concern yourself too much with niche, but just actually get to streaming.
Sure.
You know, get to any kind of basic content creation first. Like, what do you think about streaming? What do you think about making videos? What do you think about tweeting? What do you think about making shorts first? And I know it's like, well, what am I going to make them about? And I wouldn't concern yourself too much with that. You know, you can just do gaming stuff. You can do music stuff, the general kind of things that interest you, right? Get that out of your way first and really understand if it's for you that way. I wouldn't concern yourself too much with niche right off the bat. That said, here's the key. How do I find my niche?
Write this down. Write this down.
What is it that is going to make me find my niche? And it has to be something that you really, really love. Because once you find your niche, you got to stop yourself from burning out on it.
Yep.
If you really enjoy what you enjoy, like I still absolutely enamored with VTubers, then you can make day after day after day of content for years to come, and you're still going to feel a little bit of burn. Don't get down about that either. But it's not going to burn like if you're just stuck with like one game, right?
Yeah.
And you know that happens. Maybe sometimes finding your game is going to lead to success, but it's maybe going to be a less of an issue, you know, because games come and go. They kind of come and go.
Yeah, I could definitely relate to that. I did speedrunning for a while, so I was definitely in that I can only play one game, and that's my content, that's my niche, and then I hated it and burned out hard, and then kept moving on to other things. You know,
I'm so curious. I have to ask, what were you speedrunning?
Oh, thank you for the 1,000 bits, Kia. I appreciate it. The big thing that I was speedrunning were mostly JRPGs. The two big games that I was known for was Dot Hack, specifically the original. I will say 4, but I never speedran Quarantine. I tried to route it. It was a nightmare. But I'm currently the world record holder for Infection, Mutation, and Outbreak. And then the bigger game that I definitely had my air quotes claim to fame on was Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Ooh.
And I'm not tooting my own horn when I say I was one of the best speedrunners of that game. For a solid month and change, I had the 4 main category world records, and even for a long time after that, maintained 2 other world records. So,
oh my goodness, the absolute time commitment for that too, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I only ask because it's absolutely still a growing genre.
Yeah.
And it's just, there's something about it. I could watch a number of speedrunners day after day after day. It doesn't quite get old, surprisingly. Yeah.
Even ones you've seen before, you'll be like, "Ooh, different runner, a whole different route." Like, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, it is a ton of fun. Funny enough, I did actually run a lot of Resident Evils as well at one point, since I know you and I have expressed our big interest in Resident Evil.
They are just so curated almost for speedrunning, right?
Absolutely.
Like, yeah.
But no, I agree. And the thing about niche and burning out on it, that's why I was mentioning speedrunning, because even though I was finding success with FF7 Remake, and it was the first time that I had consistently hit over 15, over 20, over 25, over 30 average viewers, I then found myself being like, I hate everything. And I would wake up in like a cold sweat and panic and going, who broke my record? What new tech got discovered? What new skip got discovered? What do I have to learn? What do I have to practice? Who do I have to thank? It's Puzzling Shutterbug with the 2 months. Thank you so much. And things of that nature. And eventually it got to the point where I needed a clean break, and there was VTubing. So there you go. I know that was kind of a roundabout answer because we were talking about niches and things like that. But I'm sure we can spin it into more niche questions, unless you had another ending point there that you wanted to add.
Yeah, again, just to hit on it, it is something that it really helps if you love it, because then eventually you'll become knowledgeable about it. You'll want to talk about it.
Sure.
You'll want to engage the audience first before even the audience is there, right?
Yeah.
You'll want to get your content out there more than ever. So finding a niche, absolutely highly recommended, but don't feel like you have to rush it. Get into content creation first. And also, I dare say, don't feel like you have to stick with one niche. You can try a few out and see if what really, really, really tickles your fancy.
Variety is the spice of life, after all.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. All right, let's keep the questions going. There are a couple more niche ones, so as we get to them, I'm probably gonna we can keep our answers brief, because the next one is a niche question, which is, what are the strongest ways to establish and communicate your niche? I've been trying to make multiplayer / community participation my niche. but it's been hard to communicate that to newcomers to the channel. At the moment, it just seems like random variety streamer channel.
Yeah, so there's this term called niching down, right? Like, because I hear that, and I don't mean to be too judgmental. It's just I hear multiplayer or audience interaction is kind of like, well, if you're a Twitch streamer, you should probably be doing that in the first place. But the thing is like, what kind of multiplayer are we talking about, right? What kind of chat interaction are we talking about? You know, the cool thing with VTubing is we have all these bells and whistles. You can throw things at us. You can interact with us in different ways that way.
Yeah.
But, you know, I just think about like, well, how do you want to interact with your audience? Do you want to be picking them apart? Do you want them bullying you? Are you okay with them bullying you? You know, that's always fun. And then multiplayer, like what kind of crowd are you thinking about? What kind of group are you really trying to aim for? You know, is it did
your camera fall?
Maybe. But at the same time, again, the question is like, you know, what kind of group do you want to be a part of if you're talking about multiplayer? What kind of scene do you want to be a part of? It was the VTuber scene that got me into my content, right? Without them, I wouldn't have it. But at the same time, before that, like I said, I was a VTuber for a year. I was just doing gaming streams and just kind of really doing it on and off. So it was a little bit of observation. And so, you know, what do you think that you're uniquely seeing in multiplayer? What do you think you're uniquely seeing in chat interaction? And that takes time. That takes time, again, to contemplate and find.
I think that's a fair response. To tack on top of that, at least from my perspective, when it comes to doing multiplayer and community-based things, I think when people are starting out, I think it's a mistake to do multiplayer and community-driven things because people don't know you and they don't have a way to get to know you aside from what you are currently doing. And if you're trying to sell your niche or your content on other platforms, which I hope you're doing, on TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitter, whatever it is, if you're selling yourself as, I played Mario Kart with my community, or something like that, people that aren't your community aren't going to care. Because, you know, why would they want to watch, I don't know, VTuber 42 playing Mario Kart when they could watch, you know, Shoto play with Bao, play with Vox Akuma, play with Shy Lily, you know, and all these names that they already know. You have to find something that you can grow yourself from, and then eventually you'll have that community, and people will be able to look at you and go, whoa, I know that person. That community seems great. They're playing with so many people. It looks like they're having a ton of fun bullying the streamer. I should join in. And until you get to that point, I think finding, like False is saying, niche down. Find something that makes you not necessarily unique, but something you're really passionate about, something you really enjoy, something you do well, something you're not going to burn out on, but also something that you can make content out of. Multiplayer really isn't something. I feel like I got lucky myself with doing improv and sketch comedy, and doing, you know, content clinics and being able to bring people on here and just, you know, shooting the shit and telling jokes and having fun. But you'll notice that that is my niche, you know? I wish you would do it for me, Lou. The big thing is once you find your niche and you keep developing it and you keep trying to do new things, you'll always notice that there are other things that you don't necessarily fit well into. So when I play games, I don't do nearly as well in terms of viewership size, growth, even community-based things, because it's not what my community is here for. It's not what my niche is. So finding what you can do and then making content around that, making videos around that, making TikToks around it, shorts, clips, anything you can like that is the best way to grow, and also to determine what your niche is, because numbers won't lie. What your community likes will have the best views and the most interactions. So there it is. I dropped the hammer. Does it matter if you play a lot of games on stream, or should I stick to 1 or 2 games? I think what we were just saying kind of like tackles that, honestly. So pick a niche. You know, find something that that works for you. Don't be afraid to experiment, because you're not going to grow if you're going to keep doing the same things that aren't working. You know, it's the definition of insanity, as Far Cry 3 really wanted to drive home for us. But also, Plink, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome in, Raiders. My name's Roy. I'm a bunny rooster, VTuber specializing in voice acting and housing this cafe, the cup of Squareberry, and various VTubers around the individual improv sketch comedy combined with roleplay. More importantly, I'm here with FalseEyeD.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing? Good. Bot dead? It might be. I would not be surprised. The Stream Elements bot is dying all the time, you know? Getting off that, I'm worried that with certain niches, it seems like they know you for someone else or being in another person's community rather than your content. Is there a way to avoid that? That's perfect. That's not. That's one of the sound redeems I warned you about. Anyway, so the thing, and I run into this a lot, Jebby, so I'm glad you asked this, and then I will throw it over to you, False. I myself, as having a lot of people come onto the cafe, am constantly worried about whether people are here for me or here for the guests. And at the end of the day, you have to believe that the content that you're creating is good with or without the guest, that you are an integral piece of the puzzle, and that without you, it wouldn't be as good. You are enhancing it by being there, not just saying, hey, look, I got FalseEyeD to come onto the stream. Come on, guys. Like, come on. This is going to be great. No, it's, you want and expect people to be there for your interactions. And while it might not seem like a niche, it can be. And you can develop a niche around other people. And then that's where I would say, False, I feel like you have done that amazingly well, because people know you as the person that reports on news, reports on trends, reports on big events in VTubing.
Yeah, so last year we held nearly 50 VTuber interviews. It was just 1 week after the next when we actually had time. Oh,
Roy, you are good less than 3.
Thank you so much for the 3K bits. You're good too.
Very nice.
Whoa.
Roy,
Oh, did it just play twice? The bot's just crazy tonight, I guess. Thank you so much for the 3K, Kia. Love you. Mwah!
But the thing with that is, you know, we would bring in new VTubers, and some of them had smaller audience than us and bigger audiences than us. And it didn't really, I didn't overthink of like, is everyone here for me? It didn't really bother me if everyone was there for my guests. It was more, are they sticking around because I'm giving them some actual content that's interesting for their guest, right?
Yeah.
Like, am I actually using this time for the best for them? Or am I actually maybe giving them something new, revealing something new about a VTuber that they thought they knew and didn't know maybe something new about, right? So it's about less of like, oh, is it my audience? Is it their audience? And more as, you know, can I just give them something new, something different that even that VTuber couldn't give them, right? And so with that, it wasn't too much of anything that got on my mind or concerned me, because part of it was my regular audience. You can see some regulars there, right? But most of the time, it was a really fun joy for a lot of the VTubers, because they wanted to introduce the VTuber to me, right? They wanted the VTuber to get out and be exposed to another audience too. Yeah. So it's a two-way street. And this is, you know, if everyone's thinking about this, then is it really true, right? Like,
yeah. No, I think you tread the line like where it should be. Like, you have the perfect mixture of like people are watching you for you, because you might be reporting on stuff that isn't necessarily happening to you, but you do it in such a way that you are the content. Like, we watch things VTubers say for you to tell us the news. Yes, it's the news, but we're watching it for you. For you is the imperative part, or, you know, or for Lady or Cody or Heidi. But like, that's the point, and I think you nailed that.
That's true until I roll out my AI version and just coast on that. Just take care of it for me. Yeah.
Absolutely. Also, hello to Stella and Vil and Laurie. Hello, welcome in. Do you feel like we're good on the topic of niches for now? You think we're good to move on from that?
Yeah. Again, like, we saw a lot of the questions, and it's a great question, right? It's like, how do I find it? It's like, look, it'll find you. You know, you'll know, because you'll be passionate about it. You'll be thinking about it a lot. You'll want to make content about it. And again, as we said, don't feel like you can go too hard down into a niche. If you get really specific and you are that particular content creator, then own it. You know, take it and run with it.
Yeah. No, I think that's great advice. And I just saw a question in chat. Is it? It's not too late to add more questions. So in terms of the Twitter thread, it is too late to add it there. But if you do have questions that are topical or are quick and easy to answer, use the highlight message redeem and ask us a question. I will do my best to read them out when I see them and we have a chance to. All right. Moving on. This is an interesting one, and Rayless and I definitely talked about this a lot too, but I'm very curious how you feel about it. Do you feel like PNG tubers are a lot less desired / lot less popular than regular VTubers? Why or why not?
Yeah.
That was fast.
Yeah, PNG tubers are they're awful, really. They're the worst, honestly.
You heard it here first. Breaking news.
I'm just gonna get us. I'm just gonna get us both canceled tonight.
Absolutely. I'm taking you with me.
Legitimately, it is my hot take. It is my actual hot take, and I mean this when I say it. I don't see PNG tubers as VTubers, and that is really hot. That's very gatekeepy. I know. I understand that. However, let me elaborate a little bit, if
Go
I
ahead.
may.
I'm waiting for the Vine boom.
Don't worry about it. My opinion doesn't matter.
Yes, it does. What do you mean?
Okay, so here's the thing.
Hit me.
I think when it comes to being a VTuber, I feel like there should be a bit more expressiveness that you can convey to your audience. So I say to any PNG tuber, first off, good job. You're making content, you're streaming, you're doing the right thing, you're getting out there. Don't be me and throw down way too much cash up front and then have no audience for a year or longer. Don't do that. Don't do what I did. Don't save yourself some time. Okay? Start with a PNG. Work on your character, work on what it looks like, get into streaming, get into video content creation with the PNG. Because if you know what you're talking about, or if you're making interesting content, the VTuber part is only going to get you so far. It's what I found immediately was, look, I started back in 2019. Okay. I started back in the early ages of VTubing. Okay. And I thought, I'm just going to get this cool VTuber model and it's going to just blow everyone away. And no one's seen anything like this. And it turns out, no, it's not that easy. It's not that easy.
Yeah, it really isn't.
Having a VTuber model is not the immediate key to success.
True.
So, but what about PNG tubers, right? The fact of the matter is you do have to work harder. Because us, with our 2D and 3D models here, it's doing a lot of work for us, right? It's getting our expressions, it's getting our movement, and we got little bells and whistles, right, the entire way. And we don't mean to use them as crutches.
Apparently, they're gonna crutch it for you.
but yeah, we have a bit of an advantage, right? And this is my other hot take. I just don't think VTubing would be anywhere near as big as it is if we were just PNG tubers, right? Like, there's a bit of a magic to it.
Yeah.
What you're seeing on screen right now is actually what my face is doing. My movements are what I'm actually doing here, right? You're getting that. That all said, my saying to the PNG tubers, don't stress about this stuff. You're on the right path. I hope, because you owe it to yourself, that you are working to getting a 2D model, a 3D model, and again, doesn't have to be crazy elaborate off the bat. There's some free options, there's some cheaper options, and try it out. See what you're comfortable with, because you don't want to go in even all the way into maybe the character that you're still building, right? These are big investments after a time, but there's a lot of other, cheaper, almost free options to just test out, feel it out a little bit first.
Absolutely.
That's all.
Yeah.
So to PNG tubers, first off, screw FalseEyeD and what he has to say about PNG tubers.
This is Bunny ID.
You're on the right path already. If you're already making content, you're already winning.
I think that's good. Yeah, I think that's good. I think it's appropriate to say that PNG tubers should be stepping stone to greater forms of VTuber. I think that's a fair statement, and it sounds like that's essentially what you were saying too. Just, you know, also making content, because making content is the more important thing, because, you know, model does not mean success, PNG does not mean success, cool design does not mean success, it's the content. And I'll forever talk about, have you heard my cake analogy?
Tell me.
Okay, so this cake analogy has changed a couple times over the past year or so when I started doing VTuber like content clinics. So you've got a cake, and that's your content. You've got icing, and the icing is how you represent yourself, whether it be in a model, whether it be in a PNG, the aesthetic of your stream, everything like that. And then you've got toppings, which are, you know, usually I say it's a strawberry shortcake. So you got strawberries as like collabs and other people that you spend time with.
I'm so hungry right now. Oh my God, I'm so hungry.
But the idea is if you have a cake and it's the best cake that's ever been made ever, because it plays Seabat. Here we go. Perfect. That's what the cake does. You could have the nicest tasting cake ever, but if it doesn't have an icing on it, people probably aren't gonna pick it versus like another cake that's like a couple doors down that has this really, really nice looking icing. Because the icing is what people see first. They eat with their eyes. So always people are gonna look for that aesthetic because they want to see something that looks pretty. And they might decide later that, hey, the content isn't for them, but they went there instead of going to, let's say, you or I, because of what that other person looked like. So PNG tubing, it's a type of icing, where a 2D model and a 3D model, also a type of icing. But if somebody else has a better looking icing than you, it does not matter how good your cake is, they can't see that. They see the icing. They see the icing of yours and another streamer, content creator. They're gonna go to that first, because how you present yourself matters. People eat with their eyes first. So, yeah, that's always my thing.
So I should spend that $10,000 off the bat. Okay, all right. I hear you loud and clear, Roy.
Yeah.
I also saw a very quick comment.
Sure.
Someone was like, I skipped being a PNG tuber with a Vroid. Yeah, that is one option. And again, it's more of a 3D option. Some people just aren't into 3D, right? So if they want to hang back and be a PNG tuber for a little while before they get into a 2D model, that's fine too, right? It's not like, oh, you have free options, you have cheap options, you should immediately go into that. No. It's fine. If you like your PNG design and just are really, really focused on the next step, that's all cool.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. And thank you for buying a cup of coffee, Luna and Lamp Devil, since I think I forgot to say thank you to them. I agree with you. And I'll always look back at my cake analogy, because I think
33 months, incredible.
That's a long time. That's almost 3 years. My goodness gracious. I was a PNG tuber for maybe 2 weeks before my half model was finished. Oh, that's another thing. Like, because you don't have to go in like huge immediately either. You can do a half model. I know a lot of people like, hey, Takahata, for example, Junk, for example, did not have full models right away. So, you know. All right. Let us move on from that.
Yeah, they couldn't immediately step on you, chat.
I think this was a follow-up question from the same person. Also, is there things that you can do for content on any platforms, YouTube, Twitter, etc., that can make you appeal more to others that aren't as well known? I don't know what they mean by not as well known, but maybe they mean like, what is it? Things you can do for content on any platforms? Make content. Boom. You're better than like 50% of the VTubers out there.
Stop tweeting, make content.
There you
Stop
go.
tweeting, make content. Yeah, don't beat yourself up if you like tweeting. But
God, yeah, don't look at my Twitter count or my tweet count.
Try to keep yourself to some kind of normal amount of content creation a week if you can. The thing being is that, we're like, we were just talking about this, I think even before the stream, right? Like, we're on twitch.tv.
Yeah.
Twitch.tv, unfortunately, is not going to grow or help you grow, right? Like, you have to grow elsewhere and then get people to twitch.tv.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's going to be a TikTok, an Instagram, Twitter, YouTube Shorts, highly recommend YouTube. I'm big proponent of YouTube, especially.
Same.
And because that platform especially is going to allow people to like probably best understand what your content will be on a stream. But they can get little bits and tastes of it on other platforms. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's basic advice. Everyone's going to tell you that. But the actual, real key to it is be consistent, keep up with it, and enjoy it. Don't overthink these things, and just again, if make something that you want to watch, right?
Yes.
Make something that you want to stream, and you're gonna find you're gonna be much happier, and then your chat and audience are gonna be much happier.
Absolutely.
Because they clue into that stuff. Like they clue in, like, are they having a bad day? Or, they'll start asking you. And for me, that just throws me into even being more grumpy and all that. So it's just do what actually you want to do, right? Instead of chasing things.
Benefit of not face cam streaming anymore. People don't come into the chat and go, "Oh, you look tired. Are you okay?"
Oh,
God, I had that all the time with speedrunning. I'd be like wearing like a tank top and shorts, and people were like, "Wow, you didn't really dress up today. Like, are you okay?" And I'm like, "No, I'm comfortable. What do you mean?" Huh? I think Jebby also mentioned that they were asking specifically about the types of content, but I'm gonna be real. I think that kind of ties back into like what we were talking about with like finding a niche. That's up to you. Like, YouTube is this huge platform that has millions of different topics and themes and ideas for videos. There's not going to be one that is like, hey, this is the de facto thing, do this. Because if it was, everyone would be doing it, and then it wouldn't be fun anymore because everyone was doing it. So.
The only thing I would say is, just off the top of my head,
Sure.
Some of the most surefire content that I know of is educational content, right?
True.
Are you informing people about how to speedrun something? Are you informing people how to solve maybe a tech problem? Things like that, I find, will build a channel, will build a stream. But making all your content around that's tricky. That's tricky. I think that's only one form of content generally that you want to use among a lot of different forms of content to grow.
Like Realist is saying, it can trap you. Because if you have an entire channel devoted to just making evergreen content, then like you're going to see a lot of like 10 out of 10s on upload. And then like 3 months later, like the video that was a 10 out of 10 is suddenly at 100,000 views. And it's like, hey, that's great. But like, I'm depressed every time I hit the upload button.
Yep. Exact opposite for me. My content dies in 36 hours. It is done at that point. So it's like, well, the churn continues. The content continues. Yeah.
It's funny that you say that. I think usually that's what it is for me too. But I've had a couple of my like cafe nights that for some reason the algorithm will like pick back up for no reason. And it's like, hey, this was dead in 36 hours with like 100 views. And then like in the next 12 hours, it got 1,400 views. And I'm like, huh? Like, where did these come from?
Do not try to understand the algorithm. That way is madness.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't do it.
Also, that's just a quick piece of advice. There is no Twitch algorithm. You're not gaming the system. There's no such thing as the Twitch algorithm. There is a YouTube algorithm. You're not going to understand it. Just make content. So, okay.
Oh yeah. A quick question, Roy. Did you see all the posts this past weekend about the Twitter algorithm? Did you see any of that?
I did. I'm not surprised by any of it because it's kind of everything that we've all said for the past like year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah. Just not to go too into detail about this chat, but there was some posts out there that was like, I guess there were some revealing documents or code that was out there for Twitter. Apparently it's a little old and maybe not all of it was implemented, so it's still a little hit or miss. But yeah, it just kind of fell into like, yeah, we knew that. Yeah. we knew the basics, the underlying things are going to always hold true, right? Like, get a regular amount of content out there, get some engagement. This goes for just any platform, right? Like, and also, make sure that you're not going way off the bend and making it incomprehensible. Because not only is the audience not going to understand what they're looking at, but the algorithm won't understand it either. So if there's like misspellings, even
Yep.
right, things like that play into it. Yeah,
That actually was probably the most surprising thing I saw. That grammar plays a thing into
Yep.
it. And I'm like, whoa. That I mean, like, it makes sense. Like, when you think about it from like an algorithm perspective or from a technology perspective, it can't read what you're writing if you're writing poorly. But I'm still surprised to see that it does it, you know?
right.
No, that's good. I think that's a valid conversation. Because Twitter is one of those platforms that I will say, like, you can post smarter on Twitter. A practice that I stole from, borrowed from Porcelain Maid was the when you make a live tweet, like you're going live for a platform, having a thumbnail to go with it obviously is much better. But what's even better is if you announce the stream earlier and then leave that one there without a link attached to it, quote retweet later, or just mention later, like a reply comment of, hey, I'm live now, and then delete that live post later. And it keeps that one thumbnail post there, and people can go back and interact with it and see it and view it, and the algorithm is much happier seeing it. And I noticed a spike in interaction with those posts as I started leaning into that more.
It's so silly that we have to like game the system, so to speak, and understand this stuff. But it's not like they're well, I don't know, sometimes Twitter, yes. It's not like they're trying to get in the way of the content, but there's just so many bad actors and bots and things like that.
Absolutely.
That's just the world we're in.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's move on to a bit of a spicy question. I think this is the spiciest question that we have tonight, asked by a certain orange goat boy. Here's an opinion-based question as we get raided by Kotonya.
A raid.
Welcome in, Raiders. Welcome in, everybody. My name's Roy. I'm a Bundy Breeze, VTuber specialized in good voice acting, has this guy, making the company score, bringing Breeze, VTuber friendly with a little press sketch comedy, combined with worldly. More importantly, I'm here with FalseEyeD.
Hello, hello.
Welcome, everybody. We're doing a content clinic tonight. We're talking about various ways to improve your own content. So if you're looking to improve as a VTuber or just pick up some neat tips, tricks, and strategies, question mark, or you just want to hear our hot takes and then cancel us later, well, good luck. Colta, thank you so much for the raid.
We actually had Coda in today's episode, actually.
I saw.
So just a quick update, everybody. There is a lot of Coda merch out there with Kawa for 50% off. Just highly recommended it.
Get your femboy airsoft captain merch now.
Now.
Yeah. I actually had Kota on last week as well, last Tuesday.
And you were wondering why they were recommending clips of Coda to you? I was like,
no, not to that capacity, but I was curious as to why that one specifically, you know? I was like, is there something in this?
Okay.
Like what was the reason for that specific clip, you know?
I got you.
All right, let's get into some spice. Here's an opinion-based question. Do you think being hypercritical of new and current VTubers is an appropriate course of action to combat oversaturation of the genre, i.e., holding people to higher standard, setting the bar higher each month/year, reality checks, etc.?
Did they say inappropriate or inappropriate?
Inappropriate, not inappropriate.
Okay.
Do you think it's appropriate?
I mean, yeah, I think when I don't know, you know, we don't want to be accusatory here to anyone making these questions, but are we talking about gatekeeping here, right? Like, are we talking about gatekeeping to a degree? Now, again, that means, you know, maybe there is a standard you have in your mind and you're just kind of sticking with it, right? So is it appropriate to do that? Like, could there be anything that could actually stop you, right? Like, if you're actually that dedicated and want to, you know, make a point of it, it's going to be hard to bite your tongue and not weigh in somehow, right?
Yeah.
It's how you weigh in that matters, I think, more so. So earlier, I just totally dumped on PNG tubers, right? I just dropped trow and went and just... Wow, I went really hard on him. But
it was the nature of that question, though, to be fair.
Anytime I hear anything about PNG tubers, I'm just like, you know, I go in on. But the thing about it is it actually is, you can give people critiques. It's not always criticisms, it's critiques.
Yes.
Sometimes they want it, sometimes they don't. That's fine. But it is a big difference.
Yes.
It is a big difference because in the end, you kind of want what's best for them too. So there is a little bit of it that you maybe butting in a little bit. Sure. Yeah, that's going to happen. But at the same time, you also have something that you love, and whether it be one aspect of VTubing, whether it's all of VTubing. And yeah, the concern is like, okay, this is going to get totally thrown off if this person, this group, or whatever comes in and changes things around. As much as we'd all like to say that we would welcome anyone, I think we all have our limits. I think we all have our limits on like the people and individuals that are a part of anything, right? Like, it doesn't even have to be VTubing. It could be in a gaming scene. It could be anything. Yeah. So it's not wrong to feel that. My recommendation is if you're going to act on it, do it more as a critique. Do it in a constructive way if you can, right?
Yeah.
That's my recommendation. So on top of that, the other ask is like, is it appropriate? It can be. It can be maybe out of left field and surprising to them. So that's kind of tricky to pull off. But at the same time, yeah, I think having standards is cool. I think it actually is a nice thing to do and have and adhere to. Yeah. But whether we're going to agree on what those standards are and everything like that, I couldn't say. I mean, I don't know, Roy. Do you have anything that comes to mind that you've gate kept on or want to gatekeep on?
So it's actually kind of funny, and I'm gonna agree with Shizu here as you drop your camera again, and I don't call it out. I feel. How did you know? I heard it.
How do you know?
I feel like it's okay to tell someone your experience as a way to give them an idea of what could happen to them as we get raided by Beru.
A raid.
Welcome in, Beru. Welcome in, Raiders. Join in on the content clinic. Don't boot my snoot. Don't boot my snoot. I swear to Goosh. This is a no booping zone, but you can learn. Get your notepads and your pencils ready because we're doing a content clinic, and we're talking about a spicy topic right now, which mildly pertains to gatekeeping and to a certain level. And I agree with Shizu in the sense of like if you have experiences that you can kind of offer onto other people as being like not experience. Not those kinds of experiences. That was last Tuesday when Shizu was here in the cafe. But more importantly, the experiences that you can tell onto other people when they're anecdotal and you can explain, hey, I did this and it worked for me, or you did that, it didn't work for you. Let's come up with something, different. The funny thing is when you False are asking me about how I would react to the situation, I think it exists already. And not in this way of people. And it's something that I mentioned to Rayless when he was here as well, which is really interesting, that I think VTubing has a natural process of gatekeeping, whether people intend it to be that way or not. Because as VTubing continues and as VTubing grows, the ground or the bar of entry raises automatically. We are not the ones raising it, like saying like this person over here can't be a VTuber if they're using, I don't know, a $50 model. Like that's not us deciding that, but viewership is deciding that. Sponsorships are deciding that. Content numbers are deciding that. Everything like that is deciding it. So when we see people that are at the tippy top of whether they're indie VTubers or corporate VTubers, and we see the quality of not only their content but their models and the music and the different assets that they have, when we see that quality rise and they get better, the people below them are also trying to rise and get better, which means there's not going to be as much viewership for the people that aren't rising and aren't improving. I think there's a natural gatekeeping that is already happening in VTubing and has been happening since, I want to say, like halfway through last year, and especially I've seen it a lot more into this year.
I mean, also, like, it's the platforms, right?
Yeah.
Like, Twitch.tv is very, very top heavy, right? Like,
absolutely.
The top few hundred have like 90% of the audience.
Yes.
Go over to YouTube, and especially in the VTuber scene, it's agency dominated, right? So it's very tricky to be an indie VTuber on the platform, right? Yep. So there's a lot of just inherent pieces to the platform to work through on that way. Sure. But Roy, people are stupid. How do we stop them from watching people we don't want them to watch? What do we do?
We don't. Generally, it's going to decide it themselves. If they like someone or they have an Oshi, or they buy a cup of coffee for 3 months like Socratic did, we thank them. No, but thank you, Socratic. If people have people that they like watching, let them. Because generally, what they're doing is not going to affect us. Because if we're deciding that we want to improve or we want to change our pace, change our content, change our quality, anything like that, the most important thing that we can do, and it's not about appropriateness, it's about shutting up, putting our head down, and improving ourselves. And that's how I feel about a lot of Twitter content and a lot of Twitter drama and a lot of debates and things like that. And I know that's not like where the question was going, but I genuinely think there's enough gatekeeping naturally in VTubing because the bar of entry continues to rise. But I don't think we need to do it unless it's asked for, usually. So yeah, I hope that answered the question, unless you have anything that you want to tag on there at the end.
Well, again, you just know you've hit rock bottom when you're watching male VTubers, right?
Absolutely.
So if we can gatekeep them out and just kick them out eventually.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get them out of here.
That's why I was going to go femboy, Get a little bit closer.
Out!
Get them out. All right, next up, we've got the most bittersweet content clinic ever, but it'd be a crying shame if I didn't ask something. Do you ever think VTubing will ever taper off like a fad, or do you both think it's here for the long haul? I have an interesting answer for this. And it might not be the same as you.
Okay, let me go first.
Hit me.
This was the question everyone in the VTuber scene was obsessed with in the first half of 2021. It's been that long.
I remember.
It's been that long.
Yeah.
It blew up here in the English scene in 2020, and it just seemed like, man, if I just become a VTuber, that's the key to success. And I'm just going to blow up. Everyone else is blowing up. And then after Christmas and New Year's in 2020, a lot of people were doing some assessments. They were like, it's been a month and I haven't blown up yet. I guess it's over for me. Yep. There was some of that going around. There was.
Still is.
And so for the first half of 2021, that was the question. Is this it? Was it just a 2020 thing? Was it a fad? And then in the latter half of 2021, VTubers weren't going away. They were still around. They were still maintaining an audience, big audiences.
Wishing you the best in your future.
Oh, thank you so much, Don. Thank you for the 510 bits. I appreciate it.
And so that was 2021. They just kind of stuck around. And then in 2022, they started doing big things. They started making bigger concerts, bigger merch drops, bigger appearances, bigger sponsorships. And then it just became very clear last year, like, oh, yeah, this is here to stay. It is just simply another way to stream. And there's no going back for a lot of people.
All right.
But, Roy, what do you think?
Okay, so I saw Kota say something similar with where I'm going to go with mine. VTubing as a medium will probably stick around, but the VTuber boom, however, is definitely on the downhill. And that's where I want to clarify. So first of all, no, I don't think VTubing is going anywhere. I think people have proven that it can be a appropriate, viable source of entertainment and a form of content creation. However, the biggest thing that I think we've seen so far in 2023 especially is that VTubing is not special anymore. And it hasn't been really since like the end of 2022 into this year. Where, like you were saying, when we had the boom of VTubing in 2020 and then leading into 2021, and there were people that didn't hit partner or didn't hit, corporate level numbers or VShojo level numbers or anything like that within their first month of VTubing and they just quit. We're seeing that even more now, and we're starting to see it in the mid of VTubing sizes. So it's not just the people that are starting content creation, but it's the people in the 10s and the 20 ranges that are going, I can't just, sit here and talk about cock or be flirtatious and horny all the time. And if that is your brand, that's totally fine. But at the end of the day, VTubing, like we mentioned in the previous part, that it has a natural gatekeeping aspect to it. Dick. That's true. But it has a natural gatekeeping aspect to it where it makes it harder for other people to get noticed unless they're improving. And by improving, the first thing that I think every VTuber will tell you once they, and I'm using air quotes when I say this, hit a certain level, VTubing, it stops being VTubing and it starts being content creation that I do while also being a VTuber. Because it's, False, you and I, yeah, we're VTubers, but we're not VTubers, we're content creators, and we use VTubing to create our content with. And that's like the big distinction that I think people are starting to understand. And we saw it more so with the streamer awards because of VTubers starting to show up in different categories and breaking out a lot more. We had a bunch of VTubers that were recommended and nominated in the VTuber or in the streamer awards. So it's there. It's there as a media and it's not, or a medium, and it's not going anywhere, but it's not special anymore. And you can't just make it by being a pretty anime person on the internet. You have to create content. And this year, I think alone is where we're going to see the biggest fall off of VTubers, because I think now more than ever, that is such a more true statement that you have to be a content creator first.
I definitely will agree. Like, there are less and less things about being a VTuber that you can use as a crutch, right? Like, oh, I'm very this or that, I'm that and this. I think that's absolutely going to hold true.
Yeah.
You're going to be more judged on just what is actually either setting you apart or that you're doing very well. Mm-hmm. But there's not always a downside to this, because with not being special means you're more normalized.
Yes.
And what that means is there's potentially more opportunities. So the big thing today was I announced I'm going with Mythic Entertainment. And just to give you guys a quick understanding, that means more sponsorships. 2021, 2022, VTubers were getting crazy numbers, amazing attach rates, and yet sponsors weren't there. They were going through the IRL streamers, no problem, but they weren't approaching in any real way VTubers. And I think 2023 is going to be a big change in that. And you're going to see, actually, while yes, some people are going to drop off, you're also going to see way more VTubers go full time because of this whole new revenue model that's going to be set up for a lot of indie VTubers this year too. So that is another upside.
Thanks for buying a cup of coffee.
Hey, thank you for buying a cup of coffee.
Seeing again if maybe it's not special, but it's more accepted.
Yeah.
And because of that, again, I don't really care what the normies have to say, right? But I'll take their money. I'll take it. Seriously though, it's going to open up a lot of doors while other doors close.
No, I 100% agree with that entirely. I think you hit the nail on the head with bringing up Mythic as well. That was where I was going to transition into next, because yes, as VTubing becomes more normal and air quotes less special, it does also mean that we are branching off into what is more normally accepted, which means sponsors are looking more, advertisers are looking more, people are more willing to work with us because we're not just an internet fad, we are content creators. And they're realizing that, which means there's more pressure and onus on us to create stuff, but it also means there's more opportunities for us now. So I think the people that realize that are the ones that are going to be able to thrive in this new coming era of VTubing, the 2023-2024 era of VTubing. But I think the people that are kind of stuck in the, man, I miss VTubing when it first started, I think they're going to fizzle out like entirely in the next year.
It's sad because, there is something to be said, especially about some of those magic moments in 2020 and 2021, if you were there, about the VTuber scene did have its own kind of feel to it, right? Yeah. And some of it was a little toxic, but most of it, I think, was actually like very, very welcoming, actually. And I hope that we can continue with some of that. But yeah, we just don't jump on like the same trends together anymore. And we don't actually, I don't know if we learn from each other as much anymore either. It seems like we're all kind of more understanding what we want to become and do our own things, which maybe is a healthier thing. But I'll miss it. I'll miss the times. I will.
Yeah, I'll definitely get you. And Rayless, I think, said it well, too. While the floor has been raised, becoming normal means the ceiling has been raised exponentially as well. Yeah, true. That's exactly what we're saying. All right. Let's move on to our next topic, which is a question from our very own True Mouth G. How do I become Tube?
Yeah, like I want to become a VTuber. What do I do? Right? What do?
Oh my god. You'd be surprised how many times this is actually a question that has come up in the content clinics. Like,
I'm sure. I mean, do you have like a standard answer or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually it's do a little bit of research first, to make sure it's even something that you want to do. So first of all, if you know that you want to get into something with content creation and you have a character idea, commission a small artist or like for a small amount of money, a PNG, and start making content with that to see if you like it. If you end up liking it and you enjoy it and you can survive for a bit, great. But if you can't get past that part, it's not worth it. Absolutely not. But if you do get past it, then it goes into, okay, well, start looking into trends, start trying to develop your niche. It's a lot of like, you need to do a lot of beginning legwork before. So the number one thing is how to get into VTubing. Become a PNG tuber first to decide that you actually like content creation and that you like streaming. Because if you don't, then there's not really a reason to be a VTuber. As we literally just talked about, VTubing is not special anymore. You're a content creator now that uses VTubing as their medium.
All right. So I'm a content creator, all right. Let's say I'm like already past step one.
Sure.
Okay, so let's say we're past that. Should I look into anything particularly to upgrade? Is it better PC? Is it better audio? Better video? Like, is it something technical? What do you think? Like, what worked for you?
It depends on budget. Because at least for me at the time, I was in a very fortunate position that I was able to go from PNG to VTuber model very quickly because I had already been creating content for 4 years prior to like VTubing being a thing. So I was already like, I like content creation. This is cool. I have some play money that I can invest in this. But the thing is it depends on other factors. If your audio sucks, upgrade your audio.
Yeah.
Audio is like one of the most important things, if not the most important things you can take care of as a content creator, unless you're Tyler One.
If it's a part of your brand, like a Chibi Doki, the Tyler One of the VTuber scene.
Yes.
If it's a part of your branding, like you're blowing out your mic and everything like that, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But it is just across the board for just about any content creator, but whether to be a VTuber or not, like audio is what's going to really sell you.
Yep.
People will stick around for a kind of a bad frame rate, bad bit rate sometimes, but man, if the audio is just getting in their ear in the wrong way, they're out. They're gone.
Oh yeah.
So do what you can. Again, it's not usually always super expensive options, but yeah, like you want to hone in on that especially.
True. Oh, and I do see this as a question, and I just want to tackle this just in case anybody else asks this question. What do you want to do, or what do you do if you just want to have fun with it? Does streaming / VTubing have to be treated as a job? No, but
It's
this
not
isn't
a job for me. This is a hobby still for me.
This isn't
I'm
for
signed
you,
up with it. I'm signed up with a talent agency. I still think it's a hobby.
I want it to be a job.
Yeah, same. But the thing is it's I guess I've devoted enough hours to it I could call it one.
Yeah.
But that's fair. But this is not going to be for everyone. I wouldn't want anyone to put in as many hours as I do into what
I get it.
Is that right? Like,
I still remember you had auditions for like Cody and Heidi, and I was like, man, this would be amazing. And I know I botched the interview because I applied for it, and I'm mad because I went back and I was like, wait a minute, because I think you showed Cody's and Heidi's interviews, right, or their auditions.
Yeah, the auditions. Yeah,
and I'm mad because I remember asking, like in the Discord, I was like, man, should I edit this or should I just cold read it? They're like, yeah, just read it. I was like, oh, okay, and I just did that. I didn't do any editing. I didn't do my announcer voice. I was like, damn, shouldn't have trusted that random person.
Well, again, you never know. Like that was admittedly like very subjective on my part. Like, what was I looking for, and what was hitting it off for me,
of
right?
course. Like all people do.
Like we had auditions that were like top tier editing, but didn't make it all the way through.
Yeah,
right?
of course,
we had auditions that had incredible voices, but there's more to it. It was
of
like,
course.
how interested are you in the content, and what's the mix and all that stuff. So there was a lot that goes into things like that. Yeah.
My point of that being though, with VTubing and then making the transition into other things.
Roy got sabotaged.
I did. Listen, I've been holding it back for so long. I wanted to tell you so many times that I was like, please let me re-audition. No, but with VTubing, we talked about obviously audio being the most important thing. If you have to choose between getting a model or getting better audio, get the better audio first. Yeah. Like struggle through having a PNG for a little bit longer and get the audio. It's worth it. But from there, and you decided that you like it and you kind of know what you want to do, sure, start looking into a model. Just know that if you're going for entry-level model, I actually am one of the people that I don't agree with air quotes entry-level models anymore. I think you should go big. If you know that you want it, and you've done the PNG tubing and you know what you want to do and you have good audio and you've upgraded everything else and you're ready for the next step, I say do it. Take the next step. Don't just dip a toe in, jump in. Because you took that cautionary that cautionary like path of doing PNG tubing. So you know you like it, you know you want it, you know you're hungry, and everything else is good too. Go for it. If you have the money. I'm not saying break the bank for it, but like, you know, don't make yourself don't put yourself in poverty for a VTuber model. But also
don't put yourself in poverty, but treat yourself. Like
this is a tool. It is like I said, it's the icing to your cake, but VTuber models are a very important tool. And you should not skimp costs on a VTuber model.
You'll have second thoughts, right? Like, it'll be like, am I really spending this kind of cash or this kind of dough on this? Yep. And, you know, worst case scenario, it's like, no one's going to see it. But at the same time, did you do it for yourself?
Yes.
That's the thing that you need to hone down. Did you do it for yourself? Did you, like, make a VTuber model that you're happy with and you're content with? And if so, you're probably going to drive that thing until the wheels fall off.
Exactly. Also post on other platforms. All right. That's why I'm saying they have to do PNG tubing and like creating content for a while before they dive into that. If they're not posting on other platforms and they're like, well, I'm thinking about getting a model. Nope. Get out. You're not ready yet. If you're not already creating content or you're finding out with your niches or growing your brand or upgrading your equipment, like you're not in the right mindset to have a model yet. Like you're still playing with like, you know, toy hammers before upgrading to the regular hammer. You're training. Not ready yet. I hope that covers it. I know you were the one that asked that, but okay. Next we had another niche related question, and that was actually by Lion, who is in chat. And I'm sure we can cover this shortly or briefly. Sure. What advice would you give to someone who's trying to find a niche versus just being themselves when it comes to streaming? Example, Dami Mommy VTuber versus just being yourself as a VTuber.
Yeah, I mean, I still kind of feel like I'm myself. I'm kind of lucky that way, but people are surprised when they see me stream, actually, because they're like, wait, that's a totally different you. I only watch your videos and you're totally different. And it's like, I don't see it. I actually don't see the difference, but it's there. I'm definitely leaning hard into it than I realize, right? So after a while, you do something long enough and you're not going to have to try. You're just going to be that character a little bit, actually. That character is going to become a little bit a part of you. So that's going to come after some time. The other thing being is that, you know, just don't force anything. I've maybe seen 1 out of 1,000 VTubers that have really totally stuck with like a perfectly lore accurate character, right? If we're getting into that kind of, and those kind of weeds and those kind of bushes, right? Like, yeah. That said, yeah, I think there's cool ways to like enhance who you are and like enjoy who you are. I don't know, Roya, when you made your character, was it reflective of you at all, do you think? Or was it just something you enjoyed the design of? Or what brought about the RoyZoga that we see here? So
Roy 1.0 was kind of just things that I liked. And I still appreciate everything from Roy 1.0. But I definitely let myself be a little timid during the design process, and someone gave me a design, and they were like, "Hey, like this is what I did. Like, are you good with this?" And I was like, Yeah. And I immensely regret that. Not that I disliked my model or anything, and not that I disliked my design. I wish I was more like what I'm saying now of treat yourself, get something big that you love, that's good, that's going to turn heads and everything like that. But the thing with Roy 2.0 is funny that I'm still very much myself, but I did not create Roy 2.0 with the intention of going, this is me. It created it with the intention of, I have this setting that I want to fill, so I want to be a barista.
Nice.
And I already like being a bunny, so I was like, bunny barista. There we go.
Fun.
And I just kind of ran with that. And then, obviously Roy 3.0, the plan was just to continue that and just updated design.
I actually hit that point with my current Android model. This is basically like False 2.0 that you guys are seeing, right? So before this, I was a robot, like a full block-headed robot.
I remember seeing it.
And sometime I'd love to bring Robo back. I mean, in a real way. But in the meantime, I knew I was going a little bit more humanoid because I want to be more expressive. And there was just a lot of reasons around it, just becoming more personable to people. And I hit that with my 2.0. I went to an artist and they gave me the best they could give me. And I saw it and I was like, I was almost ready to, I'd already commissioned like a 3D artist. And I was like, I'm going to try to take this design and toss it over to another artist and get their interpretation. I double dipped on an artist, and I am so happy I did. I am so thankful I did, because like going with a model that just would have bugged me and bugged me and bugged me and bugged me. It eats at you. It
absolutely
does.
Yeah.
So take your time, be real. And sometimes it might just not work out with an audience and you might have to walk away. I didn't walk away. I paid them and then I moved on and paid someone else again. So it took even longer. It took more. It took a lot of concentration, but I got it closer and closer and closer, and then it just got right.
Well, there you go. I'm glad that it worked out. In terms of niche, though, do you feel like you leaned into as you were developing False 2.0, do you feel like you leaned into the niche of doing news, or did your character not even come from that? You just like what you look like now?
Yeah, well, I actually originally chose the Robo because I didn't want to be seen as this or that. I just kind of wanted to be seen this as like robot, right? Like you don't think of it as this or that or a super like gendered kind of thing. I just want to be very basic and very like broad appealing.
Yeah.
And what I found is like robots maybe aren't broad appealing as much as I thought. The other thing was just the expressions were a little bit limited, right? So I was like, okay, well, I kind of owe it to myself to try a more humanoid kind of look, right? And I'll go with that. Stuck with the same color scheme, just went with a few things. Really, the only like super news anchory thing is I have this like earpiece on my side that's like super obvious, but I really like that. That's very, very, very like I'm on the scene getting the words reported to me right now, right? Like
the antenna,
I like that. And then later, we went ahead and got like myself like a suit and everything that you'd expect to see from an anchor. So I pull that out from time to time. Not too often, but I do. I'm a little more comfortable with this, but so that's still there. So yeah, it was kind of more angling toward the theme, absolutely. And then we have my co-hosts, right? It's not just me. If you guys have seen our episodes, there's 3 other co-hosts with me, Lady, Heidi, and Cody. And Lady has had her 2.0 and also her news kind of look. So she got to like redesign something that felt more personal to her. Mm-hmm. Well, at the same time, right after that, got a kind of news anchor woman kind of look. And then coming up, hopefully our co-hosts are going to have something more personalized to them. And then, potentially after that, something more news anchory looking. So I like the idea that after a while they're kind of given this base, but then they kind of get it to make it something.
I like that.
That feels more personal to them after a time.
It sounds like you and I moved into that direction together, because like your 1.0 was kind of like what you thought was what you wanted or what you thought was the best idea at the time. And then as you started developing into your 2.0, it started either being more of a representation of you or of what you wanted. and eventually leaned into what you were doing as content. Because you just said you got your suit aesthetic specifically so you could be like that news anchor type, presenter.
Yes. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. I think that's the best way of handling it, honestly. So there you go. If you're trying to work out in that sense, let the niche happen, or lean into something that you feel comfortable in. But it's up to you at the end of the day. This is an interesting one for our next question. How has being in the VTuber community helped you grow as a content creator in general?
I wouldn't be a content creator without them. So I would just be making gaming videos. I don't know if I would have any I don't foresee having anywhere near the size of a following doing something else than what I'm doing right now, right? It's so hard to like think of doing something else at this point. When I started, I thought I was going to be a Final Fantasy 14 streamer. I was like, well, man, there's so much content here. I can just make night after night after night of streams, right? Like it's a big game. And then I tried it for one night, and I was like voicing every line. Oh, and it was a 4-hour stream, and my voice was dead.
I'm so sorry.
It was so dead. It was done. So that dream died real quick, thankfully. And I just played games that I enjoyed after a time, and then, like I said, I kind of came across it. But being a VTuber, I wouldn't be a content creator if I wasn't a VTuber. It's not that I'm like too against showing my face, but I do like having that as just my own thing. That one step of anonymity to myself that I get to keep to myself. And so I think being a VTuber, I jumped into it so hard because it was like, I get to do all that content I've been thinking of probably for a long time, a number of years, doing all these YouTube videos I've been wanting to do. But now I get to do it with a cool character, and I get to stay fairly anonymous. I love it.
Great.
So, yeah. I wasn't ready to jump into being a content creator until I discovered VTubing.
Gotcha. So it literally just made you a content creator. That's how VTubing has changed you as a content creator.
It was the last unlock. It was the last gate in my way, right? Before I found out about being, you could be a VTuber at home, right?
Oh yeah, I get you. I was in a weird place because I know we talked about this, I think briefly off stream or during stream. I actually can't remember already. But like I talked about speedrunning and how I had a huge burnout period with speedrunning. And then, hey, VTubing was starting. And I was like, oh, whoa, what's this? Like kind of thing. And used it as an escape from what I was previously doing. And now that I've gotten more into VTubing, and I've been with VTubing for almost 2 years, because my PNG, I think, was June of 2021. So for me, and I've learned this a lot more through my voice acting classes as well, VTubing has given me the power and the freedom to play pretend, where I can jump into a stream like a cafe stream or a content clinic, and I'm Roy. I'm the bunny barista VTuber who specializes in voice acting and housing this cafe called the Cup of Dusk. And that's me. I can be funny, I can be flirty, I can be silly, and I can be all these things that I might not be in real life as the person, behind the microphone. But it doesn't matter that I'm not, because I'm able to put on a show and put on a convincing show and put on a convincing performance that people enjoy, that people laugh to, and all these other things. And it gives me that affirmation and that confidence to keep doing it. So VTubing, despite not having my face there, has made me feel more confident in taking risks, in experimenting, in exploring who I am as a person, exploring what I like to do as a creator, and just throwing it all out there, Like I said, playing pretend and being able to lean into a character is so much fun. So
I think that's especially true for women content creators. I think VTubing has been like a boom for women in getting into content creation. They, I think feel a lot of pressure on the physical aspects and things like that, like no others. And it's just so awesome that we have VTubing here as kind of, I don't know, I don't want to call it a solution, but an option, something else to do. And also be expressive of yourself.
Absolutely.
There's something about being a VTuber also, whoever you are, that there's personalization to it, right? Like you and I are not, we're not minions. We're not minion VTubers, right?
No.
Or as something like as something as beloved or something like that, like a Mickey Mouse. We're not Mickey Mouse VTubers, right? These are designs that we had our own hand in and direction in, right? And that way your imagination is almost the limit at that point.
Exactly. And that's where I was leaning into the whole like playing pretend thing.
Yeah. So you get to really role play even before you're actually even able to play the role.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. I think that aspect makes it a lot easier for people to let go of premisconceptions or maybe fears about jumping into things, because it's, oh, I'm not at risk, my character's at risk, so I can take these risks, I can be silly, I can be stupid, I can be playful, and I can have fun and let loose. So that's definitely a great aspect of it. But yeah, I hope that covered that question. Big Nose Bug says 100% feels so much more comfortable and safe IMO to do VTubing. Yeah, it's the other thing. Like you were saying, False. It's definitely a feeling of safety for a lot of people. I know that for sure. Because I know plenty of people IRL that wouldn't normally be able to do it, or even getting opportunities. Hell, we didn't even talk about Iron Mouse and her, her medical condition, and that VTubing gives her the ability to create content. So, yeah. Woo.
There are a number of VTubers that I'm aware of and I've interviewed that just have chronic disabilities, right? Like it's a part of their everyday life. But there's also other kind of aspects, like just myself, I know, like there's some like introversion that I have, actually. Like the thought that I would be doing like a stream like this like 2 years ago, like it would just blow my mind. It would blow my mind doing a stream like this. But now it's just so natural and it doesn't feel like intimidating at the least. I could do streams like this every day if I didn't have to sleep. There is definitely a part of it that just, well, I don't know, you kind of discover a little bit about yourself too, right? Like because of that freedom that you were talking about.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like playing Dungeons and Dragons. You learn more about yourself rolling dice than you do in the real world.
But that's nerd stuff, and we're not like that. We're VTubers. We're cool.
Yeah,
we're cool.
We're cool. Anyway, let's move on to our next question. Actually, let's cover Sigmund's. For VTubing, how long do you feel is a good amount of time for when a PNG tuber moves on to getting a live 2D model? Ooh, interesting question. I think we kind of talked about it a little bit already, where making the transition isn't just like a, hey, I'm ready, or hey, I'm making good enough content. I think it's also like it's a whole package deal. When everything is ready, and we talked about, obviously upgrade your audio, upgrade your other things first before you get a VTuber model. And then when you're making content and you feel like you've found your niche and you feel like you're comfortable in the character or the role or whatever it is that you're going to do, then start looking into it. Some people, that's a month. Some people, that's a day. Some people, that's a year. I mean, Shilto, as a perfect example, was PNG tubing for how long before he debuted his model? Basil, PNG model. Junk, PNG model.
Yeah, so I think the word we're kind of tiptoeing around here is debut, right? Like, it's not, because if you're going to unveil like a live 2D model, don't you deserve like a debut, right? It's true. I never had a debut, and I don't you don't need to. It's just like when I started, there was not even a VTuber scene, let alone like debuts, at least here in the West. So it just wasn't a thing. That was all. But for my co-hosts, we absolutely did debuts.
100%.
They're just a great way to bring some attention, but to kind of celebrate all of it coming together. It's very intimidating. It's very scary, and no matter how small you try to make it, that's true, but it's always been worth it So when are you ready for a debut is the question, right? Like, so that takes a whole orchestration, and that's fun too.
Yeah.
There's just a lot that's like, ooh, I get to make my background too, and I get to have kind of really decide on what my music's going to be. Maybe it's not going to be original, but I'm going to really make a show out of it, right?
Lore video, maybe you sing a song.
Yeah, just you don't have to go down a checklist or anything like that, but at the same time, there's just a lot of really fun, creative ways to express yourself in a debut. So the question is like, when are you ready to express yourself?
Yeah.
And the almost nice thing about it is it does take time. You got to get, everything together, and you got to work with other artists generally. Or if you're not working with other artists, you're doing it yourself. So it's going to take time anyways.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So it'll be ready when it's ready at that point. I guess the bigger question is like, when are you ready to commit for a debut?
True.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be different for every person. I don't think there's a concrete answer.
For me, it's just kind of like, I'm bored. Let's go ahead and make a co-host. Literally, it was just like, it was like hilarious because I came up with this 2.0 model because it was time, and then, I wonder what this looks like as a gender bent version. It was like, this is an amazing model. It deserves an entirely different personality behind it, and then it just grew and grew and grew from there.
And that's lady spawned. I like that you said spawned and not was born, debuted, just spawned. It definitely feels like that at times. I love lady. I think that brings us into an interesting next question, though. And I feel like I kind of touched upon it a little bit with the cake analogy, because I love my cake analogy. How much do overlays, transitions, etc. seem to affect your overall success in VTubing? So assets.
The bells and whistles. Yeah. We don't use them. like at least half the expressions and half the transitions and things like that, you're not going to use with regularity. To the pain and disappointment of all of our modelers, right? Like they put so much effort into it, but it's true. You just get really comfortable with one way of going about it. The thing I would have loved to stuck to, and I don't feel like I have, because I stream every day.
Thanks for buying a cup of coffee.
Hey, Ambush King, it's good to see you. Thank you for buying a cup of coffee. I hope you've been well.
Would be to upgrade or change something once a stream. I think that's a cool goal. I don't know if it's realistic though. I never really held myself to it, but I tried a little bit of that early on. It was so fun. So, it'd be like, okay, today I'm going to show up and there's going to be 3 of me on screen. Just something small like that, right? Like, or today I'm going to be upside down, right? Or I'm going to have different colors on me, or the background's going to be different, or the music's going to be totally different. There's a lot of ways just to switch in and out things like that, presentation wise.
I like that.
That are simple, and just keep it fresh for yourself, even. Maybe your audience doesn't even clue in on immediately on some of it. So it doesn't have to be every stream. Maybe it's just like once a week. Just change something around. If you're in it for the long haul. Yeah.
That's funny. No, I agree. I think majority of the time people don't use the bells and whistles that they buy. But I'll always refer to those as being part of the icing. While they are not as important as the content, they do still add up. I think having an aesthetic is important. So hey, I have the background. The cafe is my thing. Yours is it's a newsroom, right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
okay. I wanted to make sure. But it gives off that vibe. So you immediately come here to the Cup of Dusk, and you either mistakenly assume that it's a bar and miss all the fact that there's coffee cups and 2 espresso machines and all the other stuff. Or it's a cafe and that's the vibe I'm going for. Or you go to yours and you're like, oh, it's a newsroom. Okay, maybe we're going to expect some news and things like that. Those are assets that I think are worth investing in and help. But again, the ultimate thing is going to be it's just part of the icing. Your content is still the most important thing. So prioritize the content that you do first, then think about how it looks. Okay. There's already questions about niche, so I want to ask, how do you judge what's good for streams, videos, and shorts/clips, and each of their strengths respectively? Should that be a thought early on? Yes.
Yes. Next question. What's good? What's good? I mean,
So when it comes to like clips and shorts and making content from a content creation perspective, you don't necessarily need to know right away what you want to do. We talked about, finding your niche and finding your footage. Yeah, and taking your time. But I think when you are creating content, there should be a purpose to it. There should be some sort of intent.
Like ideally you would have your own standard,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And you should stick to that standard and try not to go below it, right?
Yep.
Like, oh man, that edit is not working. My audio is trash. I'm going to throw this in the trash.
Yep.
Like, I'm not going to put up with bad this or bad that to a reasonable degree,
Yep.
right? And you just, after a time, you'll have your own standard, and then the standard will improve. I don't, Roy, have you gone back and watched any of your old streams or content recently? Yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Not just for VTubers. Well, I think very strongly for VTubers, but not just for VTubers. Going back to content even like a year ago is a little bit, going back further than that is like, who is the stranger, right?
The funniest
thing I thought I was doing a good job. This is unwatchable. This is trash.
The funniest thing for me is going back and watching Roy 1.0 stuff and realizing that my voice used to be a lot higher pitched. And I don't know why it dropped so much. Like, it's not a character bit or anything. Like, it kind of just you can like see the transition. It's like Roy 2.0 came out, and like that's like the time where you were like, he sounds a little bit more raspy. I wonder what happened. Like that kind of thing. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. And now I talk like that and like outside of VTubing, and I'm like, oh, what happened? But no, I agree. Yeah, I just agree.
The big thing is cadence, right? Yeah. Like the big thing is actually just allowing your thoughts to freely flow and sound natural. Yeah. And once you start sounding natural, it is less difficult to watch. Yeah. So, but that takes time. That takes so much time. Again, I've done 485 episodes, 15 more, and then I'm gone. But yeah. It takes. We keep saying this, but it takes time.
Yeah, absolutely it does. I think the only other thing I would say is like when I was talking about like, hey, make content with a purpose or stream with a purpose. I see a lot of VTubers make the mistake of like thinking that going live is making content, and it's not usually, unless you're one of the most creative and fun streamers ever. That is, I don't know, playing a game for the first time and they're just making amazing clippable content moments. But most VTubers think that streaming 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, if not 7 days a week, is the play, and it's 9 times out of 10 not. You might be able to see people like XQC doing that, or Tyler One, or like these other huge creators, but like you need to remember that you are not an exception to the rule. You are expected to follow the rule and grow. And when you realize that and you start making plans that make you unique in that rule, it's when you shine more. It's when you find your niche. It's when you find the content that you really enjoy. You find the people that you really enjoy making content with. It's when you can narrow on your design and your themes, and that's when it all starts coming together. So
the Tyler Ones and XQCs of the world are like the freaks of nature. Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
Like, their whole presentation style, even they have improved.
Yeah.
And again, their delivery is like a million thoughts per minute, right? Yes. So it's very stream heavy. Yes, don't stream every day. Take some time to improve your stream. Take a day off, and work to improve your stream for the next time, right? Yep. You don't have to go back and watch the whole stream and study it and all that. That can help. But the better part is like, just as you're streaming, think of some things that aren't going as smoothly. Think of some things that you don't want to fall into again, and take the next day off, work on it, and then come back, and a problem has been solved, right? You took the time to improve. So if you're going to be doing content that's going to no one, make better content for yourself then.
Yep.
Right? And as I said, like, man, audiences can just clue in to when you're having a good time, or when you're enjoying your own content, and when you're actually proud of your own content. And they'll find it more enjoyable because of that too. But yeah, it's never been and answer just to stream. At that point, it becomes disposable, and it goes away.
Great. All right. Next up, we've got a kind of fun one too. Is what kind of collab request stories do y'all have?
Collab requests? Ooh.
Is that us being requested, or are we requesting collabs from other people? Because I feel like those are very different.
I have things that I want to say and I can't say because I'm under NDA. But there is going to be some work that you guys are going to see from me all the way out to next year.
Dang. That's
exciting. You're going to be like, what? He did that? And I'm like, yeah, I wasn't expecting to do that either. So
that's awesome.
But yeah, as a VTuber, I get some wild requests. One pretty consistent one I get is investors that are interested in like VTubers actually. So they'll be like representing some big investment firm or something like that and want to know a bit more about VTubers and period and things like that. Behind the scenes, I've worked with other big worldwide global corporations, just telling them about VTubers and kind of informing them about like, here's what the scene is right now. Here's the kind of tech they're using. This is why it's on the upward tick still, and here's why it kind of boomed. Just, not making it too like super crazy. And this is why this niche is working. No. Just like the basics and things like that.
Yeah.
Like, so that's some of the stuff behind the scenes I don't think I've ever talked about, and I can't tell you who.
Wow, indeed.
Wow. So that's some interesting stuff that's come down my way. Yeah. But you collab so much, but it's your format. But what about you've collabed with others? Anything particular that stands out for you?
So at least when it comes to like requests, or things that stand out to me is if I ever get requested for a collab. First of all, I know this is usually like a wow, that's really petty. But I actually do look at like size first. I'm like, how big is this person? Because unfortunately, I was in the process of getting tons. Like I'd get like 3 to 4 a week of like people that are like 100 followers and under, or like don't have a model or don't create content. So like I kind of use that as a way of being like, are you like, what are you doing? Like why would we work well together? What can I see to know if you and I would be a good fit? Because generally, like if I'm gonna work with somebody, it means that I have to trust them to do improv with. I have to trust them to occasionally be lewd and provocative with, because that's a lot of the brand that we do sometimes. But especially like if I've literally never interacted with this person and they're small, they haven't debuted yet, it generally feels like it's a clout chase, and I can usually spot that out. At least now I've been able to, just because I've had, this is God, I think this is close to, if not a little more than 100 cafe sessions that I've had.
Nice.
So it's just like it becomes obvious when people are just trying to use you for a name, especially like when they don't follow you when they ask you to collab anyway.
Oh yeah, that's
or you've never seen them in chat, or you've never heard of them before because they're not creating content. The best kind of collab request stories, or the best kind of collab requests that I get are from people that I'm already working with, or from people that I'm already friends with, or people that I'm already watching their content. So like what I like to do, and I'm sure you can attest to this, is I like to go to people's chats and see them and experience their content and say hello every once in a while, and just thank Raiders for bringing in so many wonderful people like Erigo Moo. You know what I mean? Welcome in, Raiders! My name's Roy, everybody. VTuber specialized good voice acting, guys. Let's get the competition square. Bring VTubers around the end of the improv sketch comedy. Come on with roleplay. More importantly, I'm here with FalseEyeD.
Thank you very much for the Alien Cow Mommy raid. Thank you so much. Much appreciated.
Hell yeah. Welcome, everybody. We're doing a bit of a content clinic tonight. We're talking about our collab request stories at the moment. Ari, thank you so much for bringing all these wonderful people over. I hope you had a fantastic stream. That is probably a little bit what we're going to be doing later if you don't lay off the coffee. Thank you so much for the 300 bits. But yeah, I think the best times that I ever have people come on are when I've had the time to go into their chats, to get to experience who they are as a person, to get to maybe, shoot the shit back and forth. I know I mentioned this to you off stream, but I was it's really trying to get you in sooner than the last cafe night, but it's it felt like our schedule was like, I never had like a good reason to like come to you and be like, hey, False, like, do you want to hang out? Like, do you want to get to know each other more? So that one time we did get to at Crab Game, I was like, yes, finally, like I get to talk to him more. And then we became mutuals on Twitter, and I was like, yes, I don't feel as awkward if I reach out to him now.
But it also just helps when you have like friends of friends, right?
Yes.
So, you know, I know Lady's been on here, and it was like, well, that makes me more comfortable when she's like willing to like collab with others. Like I trust her judgment too, right? So that plays into a lot of that. Now, what happens when you don't have friends, right? Like what's the game plan there? So I'm not too down on people that shoot their shot and ask these things, but it's kind of like, what would make us say yes, right? Like what are you bringing that would deviate us from our normally scheduled programming, right? And sometimes it's exciting, sometimes it's like a really cool charity stream, sometimes it's just like a game show. I never thought of like wrapping my head around something like that.
Sure.
That can happen, but the biggest thing is like, yeah, maybe friends is a little too intimate. Mutuals. Mutuals is a fair way to say that. Yeah, like I trust their judgment, therefore I'm comfortable collabing with them too, right? So that'll happen after time. Yeah.
I think another big one that's really telling. There's a difference between people that come to you that are like, hey, do you want to collab? And that's their question. Or hey, can I be on your show? Or hey, can I do this on your stream? As opposed to the people that go, hey, I had this really cool idea where you and I do this at this time at this place, and we'll include this, and it'll be this. Like they have an idea that is structured and it fits to your needs. So like that's why with you in mind, I thought a content clinic where we get to converse and talk about things with VTubers and content creators would fit better for, you know, how you and I could interact because of your nature of your content, you know?
I really like VTubers. I like talking about VTubers. I don't know how to stop.
Well, thank goodness. That's why we'll get to episode 1485, right?
Oh, no.
Oh, my gosh. But yeah, if they come to me with an idea, even if they're a small content creator and the idea shows that they put in time and they put in effort and they actually care and the idea is genuine, hell yeah. Like, let's make it happen. All right. Great. All right, based on your experience, how would you advise a beginner to learn about the VTuber community? Big names, companies, etc.
Watch my episodes. Also, watch them without ad block on. Rewatch them. Have your friends and family rewatch them. Yeah. No, seriously. You know, if you're really trying to understand the pulse of what's going on, yeah, feel free to watch my shows and you'll get an idea. That's why, again, like a lot of outsiders come to me and ask me like what's happening with VTubers, because
for sure,
like they're like, well, this guy seems to know what's going on. So legitimately, yeah, I think we're actually a good source for that. Otherwise, like how else to get into VTubers? I mean, if it was that easy, there would be just one way to get into the rabbit hole, but there's so many, right? Sometimes it's just like I saw this anime girls make a funny noise and that's all it took, right? Other times it was like this really inspired my creative side and I wanted to like just draw them and like, you know, I can't stop like thinking about their cool design and things like that, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think there's got to be more to getting into VTubers than their look.
It's more than the icing. It's the cake.
Yeah. So, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say I actually agree with you. Funny enough, and not tooting your horn, but I think watching things like news channels can really help you get a better idea and get a pulse of what the anime community is like, or the anime community, the VTubing community is like, with events that are going on, people that are debuting, people that are graduating, people that are creating things, really big concerts, really big, you know, singles that come out, and just really big events, or like what happened with you today with Mythic Talent picking up a bunch of VTubers and VTubing getting to this point now where they have sponsorships and money is in play and things like that. But also I kind of just agree with you entirely in the sense of like, if you see something you think looks cool and just start watching it, that's a good way too. I got into VTubing because a friend of mine that was with speedrunning, Kills Little Monster, he got into VTubing before me. And I went,
Nice.
what's that? And then I went and found Iron Mouse, and I went and found Shulto when he was still a PNG tuber, and it kind of just, I fell down the rabbit hole from there.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was literally just the revelation that you could do this at home. I was about to pass out one night. It was the expansion for Final Fantasy 14 that came out in like the summer of 2019, and it was like 4 a.m. Yeah, Shadowbringers. And I was just going through a few Twitch streams at the time, and all of a sudden I randomly pulled up like the last stream of the night, and all of a sudden there's this like anime girl, and she's talking in English, and I'm like, huh? Wait, is this possible? So it was. I was fascinated by the tech. Ended up making a very good friend out of it, and I had 1,000 questions for them. I was so annoying because I didn't know who else to go to at the time.
Yeah.
Now thankfully there's a lot of people you can go to, but so it really was just like the revelation that you can do this from home was all I needed. Now it's kind of like, yeah, man, I saw this TikTok and it just stuck in my head, or oh yeah, like you like friend of a friend, or it was just very inspiring, and I got into it that way. So there's no one way. There's no one way.
I'll agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Yeah, I don't think I have a better answer. I think you covered it. Now this is something that you and I both did cover a little bit. With kind of the collab request story. What are qualities you value the most in yourself/other content creators?
Do we mean in a collab? Well, I mean, let's go off like a collab, right?
Sure.
Like let's start with that, right? Firstly, just someone who likes talking and is good at talking.
There you go.
Like, it's someone that you can chat with, right? And it's not even just about filling up the air, but they just legitimately want to talk, right?
Yeah.
I've legitimately the vast majority of the interviews we did last year, we had most of the VTubers ask us first, which was so fortunate. So I would say the majority of them
should have reached out to you.
I didn't know. You probably should. No! Yeah, you probably should. Yeah. But it was surprising sometimes when we'd bring them on, they had nothing to say. And it was kind of like, wait, you wanted to be on here? Okay, well, that's okay. Well, I mean, I have things to talk about, but I was just surprised from time to time because we're just talking about them.
Yeah.
So, and if you can't talk about yourself, then you're kind of missing a really fundamental element of any kind of presentation, right? Like it would be, just entirely on someone else to fill up the space and time. So I'd say like I trust content creators who are they're not vain, but they are able to talk about themselves and really get into it and host a stream that way. And if you can run with that, you have a really big boost right off the bat, and as far as like content creation goes.
I like that. I think that's a good answer. For me, I like Porcelain Maid. That's it. Just I like Joel.
Well, you might like them, but they love you.
Apparently so. Hi, Joel. I hope you're doing well tonight. I think genuinely the thing that I mentioned before, even off the mind of collabs, is having a mind of wanting to do things. When I look at streamers, hey Sigmund, thank you for gifting a sub to Joel.
Nice.
I appreciate you.
Very nice.
When you look at other creation or other creators, when they have ideas that aren't just like I don't know, the norm. They aren't just playing games. They're like, hey, I did a dating show, or hey, I did a date night, or hey, I did reaction content to this weird niche thing that I'm really passionate about, or I created a news show, or I created an improv sketch comedy environment, or anything like that. When they have ideas and they follow through with them, and they're not afraid to fail, I love that.
They're going in,
yeah,
right? Like they're very, very. I don't know. It's confidence is sexy, right? Like it's a thing that really is like attractive, And it's like, well, a little bit of that is like, yeah, I gotta be a little bit seduced here. You gotta get me in this collab, right? What do you got? What you putting out, right?
Absolutely. I had to put on the femboy pants to get Joel in here. Fucked up. He said, listen, Joel, I like that I love you. How about that? Big love. There you go. Yeah, just people liking what they do, and like you were saying, like having people that want to talk about things or are passionate about things or have just anything
immediately.
Yeah,
like as an audience member, you can just immediately like clue into that,
yep.
right? Like I didn't expect to watch space launches, and then you get into watching like some VTubers that are like all about space launches, and it's like they're enthusiasm is infectious, right? Like you're feeling it along with them. The same goes with like speedrunning from time to time. Like you're there with the rest of the audience, and it's like, oh man, this is crazy. Even when it messes up, it's like, yeah, that was awesome to see. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Let's do it again.
God, I remember that. Oh my god. You're giving me Vietnam flashbacks.
Nice.
Oh my god. There have been days, let me tell you, and Joel, of course, Joel loves speedrunning, and I'm like, man, I'm sad. My one regret with leaving speedrunning is I never got to attend AGDQ in person as a runner, but I did get to participate in a couple different AGDQ and like those events online, because obviously it was during COVID, so there weren't in-person events. But God, if I could go back and like share and relive a lot of those passions, there were definitely a lot of times where it was great, like you were saying, to see that audience interaction of people just, everyone goes, whoa, that was really cool, or man, that was really awesome, or whoa, I'd love to see that kind of thing, I
think there's a part of it that also just likes us seeing like things like picked apart, right? Yeah. Like just like broken apart. So even seeing, some of the couch commentators and really like elaborating on what's happening is just like so satisfying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't participate in an AGDQ? Not AGDQ. I never got to participate in any of like the main events, but I was part of some of their side events. And still my claim to fame, and I'm sorry to bring this back on speedrunning. I have some good memories. My claim to fame, and this was during FF7 Remake. I did not get picked for FF7 Remake its first time at GDQ, and the person they did pick was running a different category from me. 2 hours before he went live, I broke his world record by like 40 minutes.
Oh!
So the entire time that the run was going on, they kept talking about me.
Oh, the ownage.
It was amazing.
God.
It was amazing.
BTFO.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, well that is satisfying. All right.
Good.
40 minutes?
We had found like new skips that people were still like trying to like incorporate better, and I incorporated them in like the best possible ways that we could at the time. So it was, that was 2020 Roy was a crazy time, let me tell you. Or I guess 2019, because that was FF7 Remake. So all right.
No, that was 2020. That was 2020.
Did it come
out?
Time really
has got, time has really messed us up.
It really has. I don't know what happened anymore.
Very few of us do.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move on to our next question. We've only got a couple left. We've got, first off, thank you for doing a stream to help VTubers grow. I've always wanted to be part of a team, but have had trouble finding teams looking for members, especially smaller ones. There wasn't really a question there, but I'm assuming it's how do you find a team to be a part of? I got a real simple answer for this one.
I mean, I like your method. Go into their chat, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you enjoy them as a content creator, you would probably be in their chat in the first place, right? So you'd be interacting with them anyways. And they'll remember you. We as streamers, we remember a lot of our regulars, big time, especially if they're there for quite a bit of the stream, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I started. And I still try to do that. I still try to find some time.
Yeah.
And just randomly try to show up. But it's distracting now. It's kind of it's like, oh, people know me now. This is weird. Okay. Whoops, sorry. So
yeah, like
it's different now.
Didn't mean to derail the show. My bad. I was just trying to say hi.
Yep. Yeah. But I'd recommend that.
I do like that. It's funny because I was actually thinking about something else for this one. Even though I do like that, and I'm glad that we got to harken back to something else we said. But one of the best things I say, in terms of teams, if you're trying to find a team, you're in the wrong mindset. And I that might be a hot take, but just as much of a hot take as thanking Dr. Caliban for the raid. Welcome in, Raiders. I hope you're having a fantastic night. We're doing a little bit of a content clinic tonight with the one, the only, it's FalseEyeD.
Hello.
Hello. So pull up a chair, kick up your feet, and let's get spicy, because generally, when it comes to, I guess, finding a team to be part of, if you are thinking about finding a team or trying to find a team of other streamers to be a part of, you're not thinking right. Generally, at least when you're growing and first starting out, your priority should be putting your head down and creating content. Eventually, you will get to a level where other people will start to notice you. Whether it's because you are popping in somebody else's stream and they go, "Oh, you're that news channel guy," or "Oh, you're that bunny barista that talks about liking dick." Like, eventually you're gonna get
one
known.
and the same.
Yeah, exactly.
The two of us get mixed up all the time.
Absolutely. You know, I should have gone with hair color. Damn, my bad. Also, hi Tiffany, welcome in. The funny thing about it is that 9 times out of 10 people that ask questions like that about like, how do I join a team? They're asking because they think it's like a ticket to immediate growth and success. And when in actuality, it's usually because you compliment the other people or they compliment you, and you can create content together. And that's the most important thing, is that you jive together and you mesh well together, and that you can create something big together. Because if you're not doing that and you're not working well together and you're kind of just like, hey, look at us, we're VTubers that are big, but we have no interactions with each other whatsoever, it's kind of a waste. Like, you're just standing there looking pretty. If you create things together and you work together like a team and you make things together, that's when it's really big and that's when it really matters. But until you get to a point where you have other people looking at you and recognizing you, or even inviting you to the teams yourself, I would say just keep your head down, create content, grow your brand, and go say hi in some chat. Start to get to know people.
Yeah, it might be kind of challenging for some folks, because I think...
God. That scared the shit out of me.
Speaking of hard...
Oh my gosh. Got me back.
It might be challenging for some people, because there are legitimately folks that get into VTubing to make friends, right? Like, and that's fine. That's a valid reason to get into it too. But yeah, it's kind of like, okay, but you want to make friends, right? Like, you want like to make actually legitimate acquaintances, right? Yeah. So, it's not just about gaming the system or jumping right in and immediately going to find a friend group that just immediately clicks for you. I've never seen it happen that way. Yeah, man, I hate to keep on saying this throughout the stream, but it's like, this stuff takes time. This stuff takes time. So again, yeah, it's like, biggest thing I recommend, find content creators you like, seeing if they like you by, getting into their chat. And if they don't like you, they'll ban you. So you'll figure that out real quick.
You just find out.
You just find out
real quick.
Pretty obvious.
God, that scared the crap out of me. My goodness gracious. Funny enough, the next 2 questions were actually about that. So I guess I just spaced them awkwardly and we answered the questions. So, which brings me to thanking Hydration Night for the 3 months of support. Thank you so much for hydrating with a cup of coffee. Which brings us to our last question, which is, what would be your number one, apparently it's winning in Final Fantasy VII. What would be your number one tip to improve stage presence / performance while VTubing?
Oh, well, that is watching yourself. That's the painful step. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You do have to watch some of yourself a little bit.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, going back to a stream and rewatching something you just made, I don't know. Maybe you don't have to do that. Go back a day or something. Watch your stream from like yesterday or the day before, because you're not gonna change overnight, right? So watch yourself a little bit, and you'll really notice like, oh man, there's some dead space there, or why was I so angry at that person? Or, just a lot of little things that you'll pick up. You'll pick up about yourself if you're actually self-reflective enough.
I agree.
But at the same time, again, like if you're feeling it during a stream, take the next day off and improve, course correct, problem solve,
yes.
right? Like give yourself some time in between instead of just hitting go live again. You might just run into the same problem over and over and over again.
No, I 100% agree. There are a lot of times, at least during streams, that I will make mental notes of like, ooh, I did not like the delivery of that joke, or ooh, I made too many of these jokes, or ooh, this wasn't funny. And then when you get to go back to a stream later and look, sometimes at clips can help too, because if people are clipping moments of your stream and you're to that level where you're seeing a couple clips after a stream, you can go back and look at those and say, hey, people liked seeing this. People liked this moment for some reason. Let me watch what happened around this moment to see what led into it, and maybe try and either replicate it or something like that. Or like Joel, like with any dick or mom joke. Exactly.
It's a nice point of actual validation, right? It's not all about the negatives. Absolutely. Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, they clued into that one, and they really seem to enjoy me getting smacked around. Like it is absolutely going to be just self-affirming that way too.
Yeah.
So but it's painful. I know a lot of people don't like the sound of their own voice, and they don't like, sometimes every little aspect of even their own model, but you gotta give yourself some self-love, everybody.
Yeah.
Love yourself, and you'll improve.
And I see it in chat. I don't have any clips of myself. You can go make them. Like False was saying, going back and watching yourself and giving yourself some praise, some self-admiration, and going, man, this is a really funny joke, or man, this is a really sick gameplay moment, and clipping it yourself and then sharing it with other people. That's like how you start. That's a great point. That's like entry level. So
fantastic point. Yeah.
Just go ahead and do that. Because if you're not clipping yourself when you first start and you're expecting everyone else to, it's just not going to happen. But you're not going to be able to show those awesome moments to other people unless you start out by doing it. I remember going back through and doing cafe clips, like when I first started the cafe. Like I would go through and help editors like find specific moments, or be like, hey, I remember this one moment I thought it was really funny. Can we try and turn it into something? And even towards the end of it, I was still working with Sylvie. I would give him like, a couple clips from a stream that I thought were really good. If there weren't any, that were made, because I was like, I know this had good moments in it, So it helps.
Yeah. What's your feeling about highlight videos? Because I don't think highlight videos have been a thing for like years now. I think it's all about clips.
Highlight videos are hard because generally the best way of thinking about it, and this is going to be a harsh reality, if you are a nobody, meaning you don't have an active viewership, you have a minimal viewership or a minimum of under, let's say, like 10 viewers, and you do a best of Roy, from January or from April or whatever, and let's say no one knows who I am. No one's gonna watch a best of Roy thing because they genuinely they don't know me. It works for bigger VTubers, like corporate VTubers and bigger indies. And we've seen people like Buff Pup make great use of it. But she's been at it for like a year at minimum. And it works for them because they already have the audience that's like, hey, maybe I missed a stream, or maybe I missed a really funny moment, or maybe I missed something, and they can go in and watch it and have a great time with it. But if you don't have the size to back it up, it's like doing the community stuff that we talked about right at the beginning of the stream. If you don't have the size to back it up, people aren't going to really care. It's better to double down on your niche, find what makes you special, and make content around that, rather than just going, hey, look at this funny moment. Hey, look at this funny moment. Hey, look at this funny moment. Instead, space it out a little bit. Create something. Do something fun. Do something innovative. Do something creative. Don't just play Valorant for 8 hours and not say anything.
So specific.
There are too many.
Oh, Valo players called out hardcore.
It just happens. It happens too much. Happens too much. But that is the last of our questions. False. Did you have any questions that you wanted to ask me, perhaps? I'll put you on the spot. Be a Valorant TikToker with a nice voice. That's different. They're making content from that, though. They're doing something. They're flirting well in TikTok or in Valorant games.
Okay, a deep moment time.
Hit me.
For Roy. Over this nearly last 2 years.
With a raid. So good timing. Good timing. Welcome in, everybody. My name's Roy. I'll be your bunny barista VTuber for tonight. We've got FalseEyeD with me. We're doing a bit of a content clinic, and apparently we're getting deep with a question. Please hit me with your question.
So once again, Roy has been VTubing for nearly 2 years, coming up on 2 years here, and we got some news. We're not gonna go too into that, but looking back on it for the last 2 years, what is like the great thing that you still wanted to like knock out and maybe just don't have time for now? What was on the horizon?
I mean, obviously, like one of the things that I'm sad that I didn't get to do was Roy 3.0.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of plans that I had around Roy 3.0, and I don't want to talk too much about too many of them because I feel like I just make people sad. But in terms of things that I wanted to do, kind of an arbitrary goal, but I wanted to be invited to a convention as a guest. Like either like by Uwu Market or go to Offkai and have a panel, but be like sponsored to go there or paid to go there or something like that. And I never quite got around to that experience, and the closest I got was working with VT Rainbow, and we ran a panel at Magfest, and I was the only one there in person, and I loved it, feeling like a guest at or a panelist at least at a convention that I'd been going to for a decade was definitely a very fulfilling moment. But man, do I wish that I could have gone to something like Offkai or an anime convention or something like that as a guest specifically.
They're overrated. They're trash. Don't bother with it, everybody. They're overrated. By the way, me and Joel here are going to be at WeebCon this weekend.
You are.
Once again, quick plug, WeebCon 2023 happening this weekend. Also SakuraCon happening this weekend. Very cool events, but tons of VTubers, lots of people in person, some doing virtual. Exciting times.
Absolutely.
But well, thank you for sharing that with us. Again, I don't know. This has all been very selfless on your part, actually. I mean, at some point it's self-serving because it's your content and all that stuff, but you didn't have to make like episodes like these, right? And they're so welcome. Thank you for this.
Thank you for saying so. I mean, there is definitely like the self-service aspect to it. Like, I don't want to seem like I'm just like a saint here doing this out of the goodness of my heart. And I mean, like, there are definitely times where I'm like, I think this would make for good content. So like, I think content clinics serve that purpose. But genuinely, something that I've seen in VTubing in the past 2 years is there's a lot of we talked about gatekeeping, funny enough, in the middle of the stream, and it feels like sometimes there's knowledge gatekeeping. Where there are new VTubers that come into the scene that make very simple mistakes and then vanish. Like they make one dumb mistake or they make a month worth of mistakes and then are gone. And they were great. They had potential. I can think of at least 5 off the top of my head that have vanished in the past year that were doing great. And then they hit one like speed bump or pitfall and they're just gone. And I hope that by doing things like this, that it can be some sort of, not maybe a crutch or maybe help them overcome whatever the harsh points they are going through. Yes, and like Joel's saying, it's important to keep going because I've been in content creation for almost 6 years. I only hit partner last June, and I didn't get it until I started VTubing. Like it happens. It takes people time to learn. And just because you make one mistake or you make 4 years of mistakes or 5 years of mistakes, you can still grow and you can still improve. And it's never too late to grow and improve. And I hope that's what these sessions... Shut up! I hope that's what the content clinics can really help people with, because I like I said, I feel like there's a lot of information out there that is easy to think about when you're at yours and my level, or Joel's level, or Mooney's level, or Aries level, or just even just a Twitch partner. But when you're smaller, there are so many of these concepts that you just don't even think about. And I think it's important to be able to spread that, because if who knows, and anybody in chat right now could be the next Twitch partner, could be the next Iron Mouse, or could be the next Shoto, or anything. They just might need a little bit of information, or a little bit of a push, or just be told to, hey, don't quit, keep going.
I'm going to go ahead and add on to that real quick. I think people should be able to make mistakes.
Oh my god, just like this is a mistake. Ah! Thanks for that.
People should be able to make mistakes. They should be able to make it like big mistakes.
I agree.
And it's not if you made a big mistake or any of that. It's, did you learn anything? That's kind of exciting. That's why, the fear of making mistakes shouldn't be something that holds you back. It should be exciting, because if you're able to actually learn from a mistake, then you're all the stronger after it, right? So, and alternatively, like, we as the audience should be forgiving, right? Like, they're, as much as we talk about VTubers, there are real people behind these avatars. Many of them are doing it day by day, just like us, right? So please just keep that in mind, everyone.
Absolutely. And I mean, if you need an anecdote for that, I mean, part of the reason why the cafe even existed is because when I first got into VTubing, I made the bad assumption that everybody was lewd or openly sexual. So I made comments that I regret making, or bad interactions, and people called me out for it. And I'm thankful that they did, but I'm more thankful that they gave me a chance to learn from it. And that's why, like, anytime I have a guest on, and I mean, like I did with you, I do like give me your boundaries. I want to know what is appropriate to talk about, what is not appropriate to talk about. Like, let's make sure that we're all having fun, because it's only like that until someone's not having fun. So there you go. But False, thank you so much for coming tonight. I'm sorry that it took so long. I'm sorry that it ended up being the final content clinic, but genuinely thank you for coming and making it an amazing night.
Thank you, Roy. Again, thank you for everything you've done. I've just been one of our best. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. I don't know about that. Listen.
One of our best.
Oh my goodness. Guys, if you want to check out False and any of their amazing content, be sure to look at the title for the stream. Thank you. Be sure to look at the title for the stream. You can see a link to his Twitch page, where you can find more of his amazing stream and show things VTubers say. When are you streaming next again?
Wednesday. See you guys Wednesday.
So there you go. Check out False on Wednesday. But in the meantime, why don't we go ahead and raid? Why don't we raid someone that I recently became friends with, who is doing some good old Genshin Impact, the classic VTuber gaming goodness. We're gonna go ahead and raid Sayu, who's playing some Genshin. And if you guys don't know, Sayu is also the voice of Sino.
I hope you have a wonderful night, Roy.
Thank you, Segment, and thank you so much for the 500 bits. Guys, thank you again for being here. I really do appreciate the support. I'll be back tomorrow on Vill's stream at 10 p.m. CST. You're not going to want to miss it. We're going to be celebrating that Crab's 1-year anniversary. It's going to be a ton of fun. And then, of course, look forward to Thursday. It will be my last stream before hiatus. So if you guys want to participate in the raid, be sure to use the following raid command. And if you are not a sub, but you still want to participate, be sure to use the secondary raid command. Guys, we'll see you next time. Have a great rest of your night.